Plus, it's free, and you don't even need a Capital One card to use it. That's like hitting a hole in one without even trying. Capital One shopping. It's kind of genius. What's in your wallet?
Savings and available coupons vary.
TrackPhone wants to know, are you an influencer, a big live streamer? No? And guess what? You don't need an endless data plan. Get just the right amount of data with TrackPhone's new $40 unlimited talk and text smartphone plan. Now with 8 gigs of high-speed data and unlimited carryover on America's largest, most dependable network, now with 5G. Get the data you need at the price you want. TrackPhone Wireless. Now you're in control. Available at major retailers. 5G compatible device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at trackphone.com.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer.
Look at him go!
And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots.
Watch for the great block by Keith Byars on Pepper Johnson. Bam! Right there. Byars just nailed it.
He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Phone number to call is 937-518-1410. One more time, 937-518-1410. That's Wing, if you haven't put that together just yet. Or you can hit me on Twitter if you're at work or you're riding in your car and you want to just shoot me a quick note. That's KAB41 is my Twitter handle. Wow. Another week of sports. It's every week's a week of sports. We all know that. But now, I think I said to you guys back in April, I know I did, back in April when the NBA playoffs started, I said, guys, I'm not going to get a lot of sleep between now and June. And it's June, and I haven't had a lot of sleep because I'm up late night, watching the first round, watching the semifinals, watching the conference finals of both conferences between the East and the West. And it's all gotten down to simply this. We're in the NBA Finals. It's the month of June. Happy June 1st. Juneteenth month is this month. And Father's Day is this month also. So a lot of things going on, in the month of June. But in the sports world, the NBA Finals, a new champion will be crowned over the next 4 games, 5 games, 6 games, but certainly in the best of 7. The Golden State Warriors are out to get their 4th. Steph Curry is out to get his 4th ring. That would be the Golden State Warriors' 5th ring as a franchise. And the Boston Celtics, everybody on that team is looking for ring number 1 individually. But for the organization, that would be championship banner number 18. Can they get it? I don't know. But it's going to be fun, to watch them. For disclosure, before the playoffs started, I had 2 teams in the final, like a whole lot of other people did. One from the East, one from the West. So my West Coast representative was the Golden State Warriors. I had the Golden State coming out of the West. You can go back and check it if you want to, making sure I'm not saying after the fact. I had Golden State. And then out of the East, I had the Philadelphia 76ers. And that didn't happen. So I was only half right. But we got a great matchup between the Celtics, and the Warriors. Let me pause real quick. So just so I put myself on record. This time next year, it's going to be the Philadelphia Sixers versus whoever the East Coast sends out. The West Coast sends out. So every year, my preseason pick is the 76ers. When the playoffs start, it's the 76ers. That's spoken like a true diehard fan. That's what I want you guys to be. Whoever your team is, choose them and stay with them. To go through the good times, through the bad times. And I've had some good times and some bad times with my team, and only one championship in my 58 years, but that's okay. 1983 will always be special for me. Dr. J finally got his NBA championship ring to go with his ABA ring. So, hey, there's always next year. So next year will be the 40th anniversary of that championship team of my 76ers, but I digress. Let's tell you where we are right now. We are talking about the Golden State Warriors, and can they get it done? if they get it done, man, you would talk about basically 3 different Golden State Warrior teams all wrapped up in one, and that one would be that core 3, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green. You know, those 3 guys would have been on all 3 of those championship teams with different ways of getting it. You know, they won that first championship with those core 3 guys, and Harrison Barnes. I remember that name. Harrison Barnes was on that team. You know, Andre Iguodala was on that team, and then next then they win it, they lose it, and then they win again with a new version, well, updated version of that Golden State team when they added Kevin Durant. You know, from OKC, who OKC had them down 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals, wasn't good enough, and they came back. And then the following year, Kevin Durant signed with the Golden State Warriors. The whole sports world was in uproar. Oh my God, the rich getting richer. They're already into the finals. Now they get Kevin Durant. Just get him the championship right now. Well, they didn't give it to him, but they went and took it, you know, for the next couple of years. And then Kevin Durant injures his Achilles tendon, and all of a sudden he lets some people get in his ear. He's going to be a free agent. Man, those championships you finally won, they really aren't yours. You know, that Golden State team had already won one, and so Kevin let that get in his head. Instead of staying put, I'm going to go create my own brand. He leaves Golden State, goes to Brooklyn, and join up with Kyrie Irving, and they even got James Harden to come there. We're going to win our own super team. Didn't happen. And now the same team that Kevin Durant left, you know, took him a little while to recover from Klay Thompson's injury. And now this is Golden State Warrior team number 3 different type of teams. The same quarter, same. They're in the NBA Finals. And what do you think Kevin Durant is doing now? Like, I should have stayed. Oh, my gosh. What kind of matchup would that have been? It would probably be a sweep if Kevin Durant stays on that team. But nonetheless, it didn't happen. And so this Golden State Warriors team has got a chance to win another championship. Whether they win it or not, you know, that's a testament to the whole franchise, from the ownership to the general managers, the presidents, the scouting department, and the coaching staff and the players. But first and foremost, getting it done. That's how, you know, I talked about that a few weeks ago, is the age of the super teams coming to an end, or if it's not already dead. And I don't want to, you know, speak in definitive terms with that subject, but it's closer to the end. I mean, the Golden State Warriors are built from within, you know, not necessarily, nothing wrong with shortcuts. If you can put a super team together and win it and create everything, great. But how often does that really work? So build from within. That's what the Golden State Warriors are doing. Now you flip the script. Boston Celtics are doing the same thing. Jason Tatum, every time I see Jason Tatum in a Celtics across his chest, I just get upset. Keith, why are you getting upset? Because we had the number 1 pick in the draft, and we told Jason Tatum, excuse me, can you go to the left, a little to the right? You're in the way. We want Markelle Fultz. That's who we want. And the Philadelphia 76ers chose Markelle Fultz out of Washington with the first overall pick. Excuse me. A few years ago, the Boston Celtics said, ooh, we'll take Jason Tatum. And look at that. Can you imagine with Joel Embiid and Jason Tatum on the same team? Oh, my gosh. But we still have Ben Simmons at the time, who I try not to bring up his name anymore because he don't play no games. So no use to try and talk about him. But, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Man, that's the age of sports world. But the Celtics got him. And he's been a great player from day one. You know, I should say a good player who's becoming great. I think that word sometimes gets overused, but he's a great player now. First team all NBA, all-star. He is, you know, just a great, great guy. I was with a buddy of mine last night who used to coach him. He used to referee a lot of AAU games back in St. Louis when he was growing up. And he said he's seen, you know, hard work pay off. You know, he knew Jason Tatum before Jason Tatum, the world knew him. He's seen him grow up, knows his family. So that is a good story. for the Boston Celtics, them Jaylen Brown, they draft from within. And, you get a free agent here or there. Nothing wrong with that. But that team is structured to build from within. And that is the way, if those with a keen eye who are really watching the NBA, that's how you win championships more often than not. There's other ways to win it. Yes, there's multiple ways of doing it, but you get your home team. That's why you pay that scouting department, the general managers, and the people that put the team together. That's why they make their big bucks. And then you get the right coach on there, and then the chemistry comes in from the locker room with the players, and you got yourself a winner. That's how it happened. That's why we have these two teams in the NBA Finals. That's why the Lakers, one of the reasons why the Lakers aren't there, one of the reasons why my Philadelphia 76ers aren't there. But I like the direction overall that the NBA is going with the teams that I just described and other teams that are doing that way. You look at the New Orleans Pelicans, and, it's okay to sign a free agent, make a trade here and there, but that is a young nucleus team. And if Zion Williams ever gets himself together and he wants to, be there, I don't know where he's going. That would be better than the situation he's in. That's a young, hungry team. Is he going to be young and hungry to want to make it happen so he can be special with those guys? They made the playoffs and they had a good run. Next year, if they continue to work this offseason, they could be dangerous. What about the Memphis Grizzlies? Another young team. Hey, they took Golden State 6 games, and 3 of those games were without Ja Morant. So, guys, that team is, they're going to still draft, sign a right free agent, and that team is going to be better next year. The Phoenix Suns, another team, they built from within, and only major free agent they signed was Chris Paul, and he's 105, but he's going to come back for 106 season. Nothing wrong with being old. I was a young guy once, and I was an older guy once. So I get it. So I like the direction of where the NBA is going. I mean, who do you have in the NBA Finals? Who you have champions? Well, I'll give you mine. There's just something in me. I just can't cheer for the Boston Celtics to win it all. I can cheer for certain players. I just don't like the Celtics. Maybe go back to the Bird Magic era. I never really was a Celtic fan even before Bird and Magic was playing for him. I always been a Philadelphia guy, so probably that's one of the reasons why I can't say the Celtics. So I'm a Sixer fan. I just can't do it. So nevertheless, I got the Golden State Warriors in 6. I got Golden State in 6. But I'll tell you what, these teams are equally matched. There's no team clearly better than the other one. Only thing the Golden State has over Boston is experience. They've been there before. And what does Boston have over Golden State? Youth. Those guys, they're younger, just as fast, but, they have inexperience. So that's going to, factor. I remember, watching a lot of NBA basketball through the 70s and 80s and 90s. And even today, there really is no shortcut to the championship. What do you mean by that, Keith? Well, you usually got to get your heart broke. You come close, you get your heart broken. Okay, guys, next year, let's work harder. I mean, you look at countless teams, starting from the 80s, when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird came in, they just dominated the NBA Finals. But then along the way, you had the Detroit Pistons. They were getting so close to taking the Celtics out. And it finally got past the Celtics. Looked like it was going to be their time to be NBA champions, and they lost in 88 when the Lakers were going back-to-back. Isaiah Thomas, sprained that ankle. Almost broke it. It was so bad. He was still playing on it, and Lakers beat them in 7. And then the next year, they took the Lakers out, and they won the first of 2 back-to-back championships. So it was a time for the Pistons, the Bad Boys 1, to reign. Then, along while the Bad Boys 1 was getting old, who was next one knocking on the door? The Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan. Jordan was winning scoring championships, all-star MVPs and all that stuff, but his team just wasn't quite good enough to get by those Detroit Pistons. And you go to Detroit today, a lot of Pistons, the diehard Detroiters and Piston fans would tell you, we made Michael Jordan. If it wasn't for us, there would be no Michael Jordan. We toughened him up. And a lot of that's true. So when the Pistons were finally dethroned by the Chicago Bears, the Chicago Bulls, then it was time for Michael Jordan to reign. And Michael Jordan came in and he told Magic Johnson, the Lakers, I know you're trying to win one without the captain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You're not going to do it with Vlade Divac. Not on my watch. And Magic Johnson had to pass the torch over to Michael Jordan. And so Michael Jordan had his run. Look how many teams got their heart broken along the way. I mean, listen, the Utah Jazz, they were so close with John Stockton, Karl Malone. That's a championship team, save for Michael Jordan. Charles Barkley, when he went to the Phoenix Suns, best record in the NBA, great championship team, except for Michael Jordan. The Houston Rockets, they never even got the opportunity to go against Michael Jordan until Michael, retired. Then that's when the Rockets got their championship, but they was always nipping along the way. Then what happens when Michael retires? The San Antonio Spurs, they take over. Then the Lakers were trying to figure out who they were, and they got Shaq and Kobe. Kobe had to grow up shooting air balls in the playoffs. Now they came up. They had a three-peat. They had their run. And then when their reign came to the end, the Bad Boys 2 came back, took out the Lakers. But you see where I'm going. So I'm giving you a little brief history of NBA Finals teams getting their heart broken and they win it. And then even as recently as last year, when the Milwaukee Bucks won it, they had been to the conference finals. The Greek freak Giannis was like, man, is he ever going to get it done? I don't know. They're good for the regular season and the playoffs, but when it comes to the big games, it's not enough. And they finally got it done. Before that, when the Toronto Raptors won, they had, good regular season teams with Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. They get to the playoffs. Don't happen. But could they get Kawhi Leonard? They won a championship. So that's why I'm going with the Golden State Warriors. That's one of the reasons I'm going to Golden State Warriors. Boston, they have gotten better and better since they've had Jason Tatum. They've been on a team on the rise. You look at this year when a number one seed in the East, where it came down to like 4 teams, it was like a hairline difference between the Sixers, the Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Brooklyn Nets. There's a difference between 1 through 4. They were so close. And so you got to seize the moment. If you're a Celtic fan, you got to seize them. Why not us? Why not us? That has to be the mantle for every team that's in the finals and in the playoffs. Why not us? Who said we can't do it? That was always my mentality whenever I was in pro sports and made the playoffs. Why not us? And then you play and you find out, well, it wasn't you. But at least you got to have an opportunity to be there. And every player who plays basketball, maybe not as a kid, but whenever you fell in love with the game of basketball, you dreamed on playing in the month of June, on the biggest stage there is, and that's the NBA. That's bigger than the Olympics, bigger than the European Championship, the NBA. You want to, be an NBA champion. That's why you go to all those AAU tournaments, and they're all in full bloom. We're here at the month of June. You got the parents, and they're loading up all these kids in the van. Hey, we got a tournament this weekend. Let's get it done. Hopefully that someday maybe, turns into a scholarship for your son. And you can watch him through college. Then he turns pro. You follow him in the pro, then he has an opportunity to play in the month of June on the absolute biggest stage in the world, to someday be called, hey, you're NBA champion. I remember the year that y'all won it in 2022 when y'all played the Warriors or y'all played the Celtics and you won it. It will stay with you forever and ever and ever. So when these big time moments come, and they don't come often, you have to seize the moment. And It's a 7-game series, but it's the best of 7, not 7 games. We'll see who won. It's the best of 7. It's game 1. It's going to be very important tomorrow night. They always say it's a cliche, but just because it's a cliche doesn't mean it's not right or correct. The series won't start until the home team loses. That's when it really gets interesting. So let's see if Golden State over the next 2 games can retain home court advantage and take care of business. So when you go to Boston, even though it's a new arena, that leprechaun, NBA, Showtime, that HBO doc, that little leprechaun is waiting on you. He's waiting on you. So will the Warriors be up 2-0 going into there, or would it be up 1-0, 2-1, 1-1, 0-2? Who knows? But tomorrow night at 9:30 or 9 o'clock, I won't be getting any sleep. I'll be watching the game, and I'll be fired up to see every bounce of the ball, every dribble, every shot, to see what will happen. Instead, I'm sitting there talking about snaps. Football is never too far from my mind. And now we're here in the month of June. It's time for a lot of football camps. A lot of times, you're rising junior or senior in high school. You're trying to figure out which camp do I want to go to get the most attention so I can help get me a scholarship offer and get in front of these scouts' eyes before the season starts. Hey, choose the right one. The right one used to be the Byars Bayless football camp that I used to run. Who knows, man? I may bring that back one day, but all the camps, are important, especially when they're going to be college scouts there. I used to tell my son, hey, you ain't there to make friends. You're there to get your scholarship. Get as many reps. So my advice to you young campers, get as many reps as you can. You get a rep, you ain't got to go to the back of the line if nobody's paying attention. Get back up there toward the front of the line. Get reps. You're there to be seen. Plenty of time to make friends when the camp is over with, but every time you stepped out there, it's your resume. You go out there and do your thing, and whatever position it is, you do your thing. Stay focused when you stepped out there between the white lines. Do it in all your drills. There ain't time to be horse playing and all that stuff, shucking and driving. It's time to get at it. You're in high school now. It's time to, make the money. I never, hate on anyone that gets a college scholarship anywhere. Because if you see how much it is to go to college and you have people well into their adulthood, being married and everything else, still paying for student loans. You don't want no student loans if you don't have to have any. So help your mother and father out. Go out there and get a scholarship. And that money they've been saving for college could maybe, get you a little nicer apartment at college, or maybe a car, or, a little better dinner than eating in the dormitories. But go make some money, guys. Go get a scholarship in any way you possibly can, whether academic, whether athletic. A scholarship, so once you get into your profession, you don't have to worry about loans, college student loans that I got to pay back for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Just a word. But in the meantime, when I come back after the break, I got the Lee's bucket of questions. Lee's famous recipe bucket of questions that I want to answer that you sent in either by mail, email, text. I got 5 great questions here, and I'll answer each one of them on the air when I come back. You listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
At Family Dollar, we know you want more to enjoy your summer. Delight your family with our great assortment of ice cream and frozen treats. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
This halftime report was brought to you by Taco Bell's new Toasted Cheddar Chalupa. And now back to the... Hey, any of you guys had the Toasted Cheddar Chalupa?
Ken, we're live.
It has these crispy bits of cheddar cheese toasted right into its flaky shell.
Rein it in, Ken.
And they aged the cheddar cheese for 6 months.
Ken, seriously, the second half has started.
And now back to the game.
The Toasted Cheddar Chalupa is back, only at Taco Bell. At participating Taco Bell locations for a limited time only. Contact store for hours and participation is fair.
Everyone loves shopping online. Well, I'm going to tell you what I tell my golf buddies when they buy clubs. Stop searching for coupon codes. Download Capital One Shopping to your computer. Capital One Shopping instantly searches for available coupon codes and automatically applies them at checkout. Plus, it's free, and you don't even need a Capital One card to use it. That's like hitting a hole in one without even trying. Capital One Shopping. It's kind of genius. What's in your wallet?
Savings and available coupons vary.
Get ready for some big basketball news.
This is Obi Toppin. I'm excited to be coming back to Dayton for my annual pro camp.
The Care Source Obi Toppin Pro Camp is on August 2nd and 3rd. Spots are limited and will sell out quickly. Registration opens June 7th, so mark your calendars and plan to visit obtoppincamp.com that day to reserve your spot.
Hope to see you on the court.
Obi Toppin and Care Source are proud to provide camp scholarships in partnership with the Dayton Boys and Girls Club.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Hey, it's Kirk Herbstreit from ESPN. Football has played a big part in my life, but football's also a lot more than just big plays, wins, losses, and championships. Football teaches young people about dedication, sacrifice, teamwork, and overcoming adversity. So let's respect the game and get out and support your local school. You'll be amazed of all the good things you see happening at Ohio schools.
This message brought to you by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the OHSAA Radio Network.
Ready to make your family meal famous? Just stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for the 16-piece family meal at a great price. You'll get 16 pieces of our classic Famous Recipe Chicken that's fresh, never frozen. It's honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and pressure-cooked to perfection, along with 4 of our large sides and 8 fluffy biscuits. This is the family meal upgraded. Get the meal with the most when you try our 16-piece family meal at a great price. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Hi, Tom Bodette here. Just thinking about how people all talk to cats the same way. You know, that calming voice those floofers pretend they can't hear, all cute and standoffish. It does get their motors purring, though. Let's see if it sounds like catnip to your ears when I say, pets stay free at Motel 6 in rooms that are more comfy than a box full of yarn. Do you like that, people? I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, the proud sponsor of pets, and we'll leave the laser light on for you.
Creative Foam is now hiring for production positions in Dayton, Ohio. They offer a competitive starting wage and great benefits. Visit creativefoam.com to apply and start your new career today.
Welcome to today's game. This is Paul Keels, and you know how much I love broadcasting the Buckeyes, but I also love high school sports. On behalf of the OHSAA, let's all do our part to set a good example and make this a fun and safe experience for the kids involved. I know this game means so much to the players, coaches, and fans, but high school sports are about much more than the wins and losses. They teach life lessons that will be with the players long after their playing days are over. Good luck to both teams, and remember to respect the game.
Welcome back. You listen to the Keith Byars radio show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Phone number to call is 937-518-1410. You can hit me on Twitter also at KAB41 is my Twitter handle. By the way, last night, This is my first time ever since I've been back at Dayton. This is the most Dragon games I went to. I went to a Dragon game last night. So I usually make it to one a year. This time I'm at 2. So I've doubled my impact, my input of going to Dragon games this year. And I'm going to exceed that. My goal, I'm going to set a goal right now. My goal is to make it to double-digit Dragon games this year. Can I do it between now and September? I don't know, but it's a great time out. It was I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. You live here in Dayton. You've been by Dragon Stadium, with the Day Air Stadium. It's hard for me to keep up with the name of it. But it was a great experience last night. The home team won. They were playing the Chicago Cubs single A team. I think they're at South Bend. You hear that stuff. You're like, who are they associated with? Oh, okay. So I always forget the name of the city that the team is playing. But it was great to be at the game last night. Got a chance to shout out to see one of my Philadelphia people that were there. We didn't. He played a different sport. Juan Samuel. He was at the Phillies when I was with the Eagles, so I got a chance to holler and shout at him after the game a little bit, and. Also, person I went to the game with, so I grew up with the high school together with. He played with my older brother, but we was in high school at the same time. Trent Purcell, he was a great baseball player here out of Trotwood, Madison when he was in high school. So him and Juan Samuel and Eric Davis did a lot of minor league baseball stuff together when they were coming up. So it was good to be at the game last night. I saw a couple of big home runs by the hometown Dayton Dragons team, so it was a lot of fun. So you'll see me again. And I was talking to Trent last night, and he's played major, professional baseball and all that good stuff. I said, but as a fan, how many foul balls you ever been you caught in the stands? His answer was 4. I'm like, man, you got me by 3. And, we're both in our 50s. He's going to be 60 this year. Trent. But I've been going to baseball games for over 50 years. And over 50 years, I've only had 1 foul ball. Only 1. But hey, that's better than 0. And that 1 I ever caught, that was like 15 years ago. I was in adulthood. I was at a Great America Park, got a foul ball, sitting behind the home plate, and one, just literally divine intervention. I didn't even boot much. I was sitting down, the ball come over the screen, and the people went for it. I'm sitting about 10 seats to the left of where the ball was coming down, and it hit the seat back at a roll in front of me and ricocheted right across my face. And without budging, I just put my hand up there and caught the ball. It's just like that. They're like, oh, wow, what amazing. Had my phone picture on the Jumbotron, and they're like, man, get a ball to the kid. Hey, the kid can see the ball, but he's not getting it. I'm a big kid, too. I want that ball. I don't even remember who was batting. I just know I got the foul ball. I was happy. I was excited. So every time I go to the game, even the Dragons game, is this going to be the night I get my second foul ball? I didn't have much of a chance last night, but I did see some, get hit over there by me. Unfortunately, I seen the kid get hit. Not far from me either. The guy tried to catch the ball. It missed, and the ricochet hit the little girl, but she was fine. It didn't hit her in the face or anything like that. But I'm like, come on, Pops, you can't swing. You can't miss. You got to take one for the team. You went to try to catch it, and he missed the ball completely. That being said, Justin, we got a Lee's bucket of questions to answer, but answer me this. Have you ever got a foul ball at a baseball game?
No.
You still working on it?
I've not received a foul or been able to have that happen.
Okay.
Nope. Never sitting anywhere close to where, and of course, the likelihood of that now is lower just because the nets are up at games and kind of blocks them off. But then again, the foul balls that those are blocking off, I don't think you're catching those anyways. Those.
Yeah, you don't really want those.
But yeah.
That thing is hot potato. But let's get to the questions.
All right. Each and every Monday or Wednesday on the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. 5 questions. We get a lot of questions that are sent in from you, the Keith Byars fans, the Keith Byars Show listeners, of course. And we pick what we deem to be the 5 best ones. No, there's no such thing as a bad question. There's just better questions than others, if you will. So first question, Keith, as we close out the show this afternoon. But it was announced today that John Madden will be on the cover of this year's NFL Madden video game.
I love it.
Which is very fitting, absolutely. But when you played in the 90s, did you ever sprint to the store to buy the latest NFL game to play as yourself? Do NFL players, do they care much about playing as themselves? Was that a big deal to you back in the 90s when you played, of going to the store to get a video game so you could play as yourself?
Well, first off, video games were new at that time. It was a new era of video games, and it felt great to play as myself. There was, I don't necessarily call it a war, but Nintendo was a champion at that time, and they had a football game, Tecmo Bowl. And depends on what kind of season you had the previous year, it was equated to how much juice they were going to put into your character. And sometimes if you don't make enough plays, now the whole roster's on there. We didn't have the whole roster on those games, so you had to be a starter, to make the team, or maybe a key backup. So I was pretty good on Tecmo Bowl. I love playing with myself, and that didn't really sound right, but nevertheless, I did love my character.
You're wrong. I didn't even think that.
That was a lot of fun. But with the Eagles teams, Randall Cunningham and Reggie White, they were, the stalwarts on our team. You played the Giants, Lawrence Taylor, you couldn't block him. You played the Raiders, Bo Jackson, you one guy just, couldn't make the tackle. So it was a lot of fun, to be able to do that. And, every once in a while, somebody, man, come up to me in the street, I used to play Tecmo Bowl. I used to like your player. He used to catch everything. He'd get the ball close, you can catch it. I'm like, oh, man, appreciate it. So that was neat. That's neat. So kudos, shout out for the Madden team using John Madden, to put him on the cover. And I think Madden's picture should be on the cover every year, even not just his going to be the sole picture, but every year put, going forward, put a little small corner, and I know it's his game, but put his picture on there as well, or whoever the NFL player they deem in the future going forward to share the cover with John Madden.
Yeah, and it's players today that it's like when the NFL game comes out, they start releasing the player, what your ranking,
your points
is,
and all that's your PAL rating. Yeah,
it becomes a thing. Players get angry. Some are like, he shouldn't be rated that high. I mean, it's a legitimate talking.
We had that same thing back in the day. Like, oh man, they don't think you that good. Look how they got your player. Your guy, he can't cover nobody. Look how slow he is.
Question number 2, Keith, and this is a big, talking point right now because, with voluntary, and I say voluntary.
Yes.
Voluntary OTAs are going on right now, but I don't know about you, but if my boss at work says, hey, it's a Friday, it's voluntary, but the doors will be open on Saturday if you want to come into work. It's voluntary. Well, I promise you, Keith, my ass ain't coming into work on a voluntary day.
So that means you ain't going to get paid either.
Yeah, but then you don't show up to voluntary work, of course. You're not. I wouldn't expect that I would be criticized for that, but I guess sports is a little different. The talking points on all the talking shows, of course, aren't about the players that are showing up to voluntary OTAs. It's the players who aren't showing up, the Lamar Jacksons, the Kyler Murrays, the Jesse Bates, and there's some guys out there who aren't showing up just because it is voluntary. Others are in contract disputes. Of course, there's various reasons why. But do you believe that players should be criticized, or do you believe it's fair, I should say, to criticize players for skipping voluntary OTAs?
No.
And did you ever skip voluntary?
No, I never skipped voluntary OTAs because believe it or not, the genesis and the roots of voluntary OTA started with my generation and my team specifically, the Philadelphia Eagles, and give Buddy Ryan credit for that. Back in those days, training camp was 6 weeks. That meant the whole 4 weeks of 4 weeks of August and 2 weeks of July was training camp. So that's 6 weeks. Now it's like a month, if that, 3 weeks. So training camp was a lot longer. So Buddy Ryan said, "You guys hate going to training camp. I love training camp, so I would meet somewhere in the middle." So he came up with volunteer, which is OTA, volunteer, organized team activities. We just call it volunteer camp. And that meant whenever our first preseason game is usually the first week of August. So say, for example, if it was August the 5th, we didn't have to be at training camp until 8 days before the first training game, for the first preseason game. It'd be like between 8 and 10 days before the first preseason game is when we actually went to Westchester, Pennsylvania for our training camp location. so we were the last team to report for training camp. And everybody like, man, that's cool. Y'all the last team to report. I said, no, actually, we're the first team to report. What do you mean? Because we start, everybody else starts in middle of July 16th to 19th to 20th, one of those days. Buddy Ryan would have us voluntarily come back to Philadelphia the Monday after 4th of July. So whatever day 4th of July ran on, that following Monday, we had to be back in Philadelphia for Monday through Friday workouts up until for the next 3 weeks or so before we would report to Westchester. And it was not it was voluntary in name only. So we were voluntold to be here the Monday after the 4th of July. So if the 4th of July was on a Saturday, Monday you had to be there. And what we would do in those volunteer workouts, it was like 4 hours. So we'd be in meetings from like 9 to 11. And then we were on the field from 11:30 to 1:30, and then you go home. So that was it. So then you had to lift weights, but get in early before 9 o'clock means lift your weights or stay after 1:30 and lift weights then. But we're going to come in here, do classroom work. So once we get to training camp, hey, we don't have to waste time putting in the offense and seeing if these rookies are up to speed. We're teaching you slow now, before training camp started. So it was volunteer camp that we had. So yes, so guys didn't skip it. Even if you was holding out for a contract, well, we don't have to be here. So be here now, especially you as a rookie. Be here now while they're still negotiating your contract. So once we do go to training camp, you don't have to be there. So you're not all the way behind the curve.
That's fair.
So, when it started after my rookie year. So when Jerome Brown and Keith Jackson were rookies, still trying to negotiate their contract, they could be there for volunteer workouts. And then they get signed maybe the second week of training camp. You don't have to catch them up because they already had some learning. It's just physical now to get them caught up to speed, and then boom, we're ready to go. So everybody copycatted that off the Philadelphia Eagles of the 80s. So that's where the volunteer, and they just kind of expanded and changed the name. OTA, Organized Team Activity, instead of calling it volunteer. So it's voluntary OTAs. So we would have, no, it's a little wordy answer to this question. So our mini camp would be right after the draft in April, early May. And then then we're gone. We don't have to come back until July. So we had that kind of vacation time the month of May and June to do whatever you want. Go out, but that's, you got to better work out and stay in shape. We're going to do that anyway. So when we come back that Monday after the 4th of July, we're hitting the ground running and all the way until January, whereas other teams didn't come on until later in July. So it was a good formula. I bucked at the beginning of it, but I saw all the good things that we were getting out of it. We was getting better as a team. And it just made my 4th of July just a little sadder because, man, my summer's over with. Well, the other guys still had another 2.5, 3 weeks of summer. My summer was over by 4th of July because now it's time to go to work and get it in and sweat in those hot days of Westchester, Pennsylvania.
All right, next question, Keith. Again, if you're just tuning in, it is the Keith Byars Show presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Every Monday or Wednesday during the show, we do what is called the Lee's Bucket of Questions. 5 questions that are sent in from you, the fans. And the third question on deck, Keith, is if I went through your phone right now,
right,
who's the most famous person you have in your phone, the most famous contact you have in your phone? Who would you consider that to be?
Oh, that's a tough question.
And you got to prove it. No, I'm just
exactly. Call it right now. Get them live on the radio. It's funny you asked that question because a couple of years ago on a Buckeye Cruise for Cancer, that question came up, and we were doing some game called Survivor, and we had 2 minutes to get the most famous person on your phone on the line. Not just, hey, look whose number I got. No, they have to answer. So I'm still going to go with that answer, that person I said. And famous is in the eye of the beholder, And
your idea of famous and mine are probably
it depends. So for me, it's Angela Bassett.
Okay.
Angela Bassett was the most famous person that helped win that you may have some other phone numbers. You may say, oh, so-and-so is more famous than her. But I don't know. So Angela Bassett, Tina Turner, what's love got to do with it? How Stella got her groove back. She was the mother in Black Panther. You name it. She's on 9/11, 911, one of the show right now. So Angela Bassett, she's the most famous person. And I say I have a problem calling her the most famous person because we're just friends. I don't ever say she's my friend. Because... Lawrence Taylor, that's famous to somebody else.
Yeah, if me and you walk into a room together with famous people, there's a big difference between your fanboy and my fanboy. And because to you, they're just normal. To me, I'm like, holy crap, that's so and so.
Yeah, Charles Barkley. I still have Barkley. I think I got Barkley's number in my phone.
Pippen, MJ. You got Dan Marino,
Ron Harper. So Dan Marino. It depends on who you. Bill Parcells.
For damn sure. I'd say that. Well, when people ask me that, Keith, it's you and Marty Brenneman. I'm on. You and Marty Brenneman in there. I believe Eddie George is in there too, but I don't think he knows who the hell I am.
Okay, see, Eddie.
Yeah, but
Archie Griffin.
There you go.
That's what my wife, she thought I was going to say Archie Griffin at that deal. She said, "Well, it's either him or Dr. J." That's what he's going to say.
And those were names.
Those are all winners. Yeah, I was like, those are winner names.
All right, we have 4 minutes here, but
Charles Barkley. I'm looking at my phone right now. Charles Barkley.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You know that comedian Ari Spears?
Sure.
One of the bit I did on the show one time. He does a really funny Shaquille O'Neal impersonation, Charles Barkley. But Ari Spears was in town at the Funny Bone, so he came in studio, and I said, hey, I kind of want to do a work on the show as I'm going to promote that Charles Barkley is going to be in studio, and I need you to be Charles Barkley. So the bit was Charles comes in, and I'm just rude as hell to Charles Barkley. Like, you're one of my least favorite players. They're making me interview you, all this. So he's calling me, little Porky the Pig. He's calling me names. As Charles
in the Charles Barkley voice.
Friends are texting me, you finally have a cool-ass guest on your show, and you were just doing nothing but ripping Charles Barkley. And then listeners were emailing our GM at the time to fire me because how unprofessional I was. And
he's never going to come on the show again.
And then we went to commercial break, and when we came back, I said, well, by the way, this is Ari Spears. By the way, he's going to be live at the Funny Bone tonight. Killer impersonation. So it was one of my favorite bits that we did, but it worked. People thought it was literally, pretty cool.
I wish I'd heard that.
Yeah. Question number 4, what defensive position would you have played in the NFL if you're Ohio State or NFL coaches said, Keith, you're no longer going to play on the offensive side of the ball, but you could pick any position on the defensive side of the ball. What's that position you would have loved to play?
Oh, that's a good question. Either two positions. It was outside linebacker, Lawrence Taylor, Carl Banks, Ricky Jackson, that type, or David Fulcher. I would have played some strong safety.
Okay.
Come up, run with wide receivers and tight ends and smack the snot out of running backs, and wide receivers, So either one of those two. But you say I did not say cornerback. I'm not going to say corner. Now you want to be a defensive lineman. They want to be down in those trenches, and I want to do that. One is where I can stand up and see.
Pepper Johnson can attest what you can do when you got some momentum on your side. By the way, that's
oh yeah.
Last one on the way out, Keith. Again with the NBA Finals set. The Warriors and the Celtics. Pretty cool finals matchup. Of course, a team that's not on its way out necessarily, but an older, more experienced team that's closer to the end than they are in their prime, and then the up and coming Boston Celtics. A really cool dynamic. The finals matchup I wanted this year, I would have loved to see LeBron and AD and Westbrook, a healthy Lakers team, going up against the Nets with Kevin Durant and James Harden at the time, and of course Kyrie Irving. That would have been that would have been star power galore in that finals matchup. That never happened. But what finals matchup, thinking back to your time as an NBA fan, what's that one finals matchup that you never got that you really wanted? And I don't mean like LeBron versus MJ. I mean like that we missed that actually could have happened. For instance, like LeBron versus Kobe, the Lakers versus the Cavs in the NBA finals back when Kobe and LeBron were in the league together. What's that one matchup that you're like, man, we really missed out on that you would have loved to have seen?
I would say I was spoiled because I saw a lot of the great matchups I wanted to see. But in retrospect, I would have loved this. If Michael didn't retire, I would love to see them go against the Houston Rockets with Akeem Olajuwon. Because Akeem gets to say, I won my championships, Barkley and Malone. Why didn't you guys get yours? And then Barkley and Malone could be we got room on this boat going to Cancun because you didn't have to play against Michael. You got yours when Michael retired. When Michael came back, y'all didn't win none.
Asterisk title.
Yeah, exactly. But it counts. So I would have loved to see the Houston Rockets get their medicine. And I was, Rocket fan, loved Hakeem Olajuwon. But they would have threw those 18 fouls at him, just like they did Patrick Ewing and Barkley, and Michael Jordan was going to get it done. So that's what I would have loved to see. And then Tim Duncan would have got his medicine also from Jordan, but it would have been old Jordan, but he would have gave him his medicine too. And but it's great. I mean, that's why I love it. So I'm looking forward to seeing the finals this week. Coming up starting tomorrow between the Boston Celtics, and the Golden State Warriors. The Boston Celtics is one of the most, between them and the Lakers, the most decorated franchise in NBA history. Can they get another one? Or where Golden State try to move into the Bull era and say, hey, we y'all got 6, we're at 5. We're coming up on that next era of great franchises. But it's all great. It's all good. But listen, guys, I really, really appreciate all the questions, the Lee's Famous Recipe Bucket of questions. I'll be back next week with more of an update on the NBA Finals. Hey, guys, it's almost football season. Let's relax. Enjoy the summertime. Football be here before you know it, buddy. Guys, if you think about what college to go to the Ohio State football camp and the Ohio State University. Some of you guys is teeter-tottering, haven't committed yet. Nonetheless, you've been listening to the Keith Byars radio show presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. And please get out and do random acts of kindness for your fellow man. Be safe.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio. WYNG 1410 Dayton.